Hope you stick with it.
Video.
The source will change your life. Swear to God.
It's as simple as that.
Not this time.
The perfect video.
It's nothing but a conspiracy of a bunch of big-butted, big-boobed idiots that want an excuse from the name art to let them bounce.
Video burnout.
Last time.
Reggie, have you seen Bobo?
Just give me a bath.
Would you like to take a bath together?
I'm over there in the tub.
All right, gentlemen. Video burnouts. Walk like a man. Yikes. Jay, initial response. Jay. Yeah, don't blame you, buddy. Justin, you. I just don't know what to say about a movie like this. Maybe we'll figure something out.
Perhaps the last video burnouts.
All right, check it out. Walk Like a Man, starring Howie Mandel, Christopher Lloyd, Cloris Leachman, Colleen Camp, Amy Steele. Howie's a howl. That's Howie Mandel, one of 80's most irrepressible actors and comedians. You know the glove-on-head chicken trick?
What?
That was in parentheses.
Okay.
Well, this time Howie's a dog, sort of. Lost in the wilderness as an infant, Bobo Shand is reared by a pack of wolves. Bobo. Ugh. For the number of times they said the word Bobo in this movie.
It's not even his name, it's his nickname.
But it's like they couldn't think of any dialogue, and the script was only 60 pages, so they just filled it in with Bobo.
Just tons of Bobos.
My little Bobo.
Bobo. Bobo.
Bobo.
Bobo.
Bobo.
Bobo.
Bobo. Good Bobo. 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 Bobo.
Bobo.
Yeah, Bobo Shand Mandel is reared by a pack of wolves. 25 years pass before Bobo is found by a beautiful animal behaviorist, Penny Steele, who returns him to his long-lost family and the $30 million trust left by his late father. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, man. As Penny struggles to civilize the scratching, sniffing, fire engine chasing Bobo, greedy brother Reggie, Christopher Lloyd, and his tipsy wife Colleen Camp plot deviously to keep the money for themselves. Half dog, half human, all wacko. Mandel as Bobo gives a performance reminiscent of the great Harpo Marx. What?
Just
Sure.
And Cloris Leachman as the Looney Tunes mother shows her delightful flair for the bizarre. 1 hour, 26 minutes that we will never get back.
You will feel every one of those 1 hour and 26 minutes.
It feels like a solid 4 hours.
Yeah. But Christopher Lloyd gives a performance worthy of Clark Gable, so it was really impressive,
yes.
actually. Yeah. All right.
How did we come to do this movie this week?
This one, Eric.
Producer Eric.
Yes.
Sorry, guys.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are.
I will go on record and say it's my least favorite movie that we've ever watched.
Thank you for choosing it then.
Yeah.
Fuck this movie. Fuck it hard.
This one, yeah, it's kind of dumb on top of dumb. Like, it starts dumb, and then when they change it up to the second part of its plot, it gets even more dumb. So, like, I guess we should just start at the beginning.
But the pacing's what's wrong about it. You know exactly where the movie's going to go. Everything, it's 80s through and through. Whenever you realize they've got, 30 days once that part of the plot comes out,
Yeah.
you've got to get the timeline. You're like, oh, this is a race against time. They're gonna do it, but everything happens so it feels like it's out of order.
Completely out of order. Yeah.
Anyway, so you have a family that's got sled dogs. They're in, where's the property at? They're gold mining.
Coal mining.
It's I think it's gold.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a gold mine. It really,
Whatever. They're mining.
irrelevant.
They're like in the Yukon or
Something like. I mean, they're in a very snowy, dangerous place. An
Alaska-looking
unsettled sort of
place.
snow place, wherever they are.
The
unsettled
dad,
snow place. I like that.
the dad who I thought was Abe Vigoda is actually Christopher Lloyd,
Pulling double
playing
duty.
his own father, which is always a good, not confusing thing to put in a film. And they're racing through the snow with their family, and one of the boys, the older brother, jumps into the sled for some reason and then shoves the younger brother out of it. There's no real backstory. Oh, unnecessary kicking of the dog. Let's throw that in there. Why did there's an animal just kicked for no reason the first like 30 seconds of the film?
Is it Red? Is it the older kid
It's
that does
the older
that?
brother. I think
Yeah.
they're trying to paint out he's a dick. But
They set that up pretty early because they're also like, he doesn't want to help push the sled, and so the dad tells him, well, we'll leave some coal behind or some gold behind, and he's like, oh, I'll push the sled anyway. Like he doesn't care. He pushes his brother out. He's just through and through
It's
a
the
total
opposite
piece of
a
shit.
save the cat moment.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. There you
Familiar
go.
with Save the
You
Cat.
get him to hate him. That's good.
I heard someone describe it as the kick the baby. The exact opposite of Save the Cat. This guy's a bad guy, and you know it in the first 30 seconds, the first minute. He's the baddie.
Yeah, if you remembered that this young kid
But he's
grows
like
up
9.
into that. Yeah, yeah,
and the timeline, the space of time is unreally followable.
yeah.
So
28 years after that kid gets kicked out of the sled, our movie starts essentially with awful font. We've got this awful Arctic tundra with this jaunty yellow font over the beginning.
Yeah, even
It's
the font
really
sucks.
setting you up well for comedy.
Okay, and so then we fast forward, and this
28 years later.
yeah, 28 years later.
Yeah.
And who's the female, and what's she doing?
she's Amy Steele, and her character name is Penny Steele.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess it really doesn't matter, but it seems strange. She's from Friday the 13th Part 2.
Ah.
She's great in that.
I bet she can really scream.
She says this is her favorite film she was ever on. She Walk Like a Man is the most fun she ever had on a film. So
Definitely possible. I think I read that Christopher Lloyd, this was his most embarrassed film, the film he's most embarrassed by.
sounds right. Although he shouldn't. Anybody that's seen Premonition, whatever. He's got a few out there. He's got some great ones though.
Yeah, I mean, he's the man.
He's in. The summer camp movie that he did is great.
Camp Nowhere?
Camp Nowhere. I love him in that. Which this should be the type of film that is a Camp Nowhere, where it's supposed to be heartwarming and fun and quirky, but it's none of those things.
No.
It's a failed joke after a joke. Every line that Christopher Lloyd's in is supposed to have like a zinger kind of punch to it, but it's flat every step of the way. It's
And they just repeat the same jokes.
over. It's
And they never were funny.
And I recorded all my laughs for this whole movie. I wrote them down.
You had a laugh?
I had what I would term 2 actual laughs and 4 chuckles.
Ooh.
That was
so
it.
how many chuckles equal a laugh, or does it work like
I didn't really think it out that much. I just smiled and didn't make a sound. So I counted that as a chuckle.
It's better than a groan of pain.
But for an hour and a half of what's supposed to be a pretty zany comedy, that's lacking. That's really lacking. And they all pretty much came from Christopher Lloyd or Cloris Leachman. So anyway, this Penny Steele.
Yeah, what is she even doing?
She is going to study wolves.
She's trying to do a rescue center for wolves or something?
She was out there with the Mr. Truman, and she wants Mr. Truman to lead her to wolf packs so she can study how they how they interact with each other, how wolf packs function. And he gives her that great line about the only thing I hate more than a wolf is an environmentalist.
And then that other witticism about don't step in bear shit.
Yeah. He's a very he's got a lot of wisdom.
What is the witticism?
What does she say? Like, do you have any other advice or
something
some
like that?
stupid
Yeah,
setup like that. And he says, "Yeah, don't step in any bear shit."
Okay.
I'm like, wait, is that supposed to be funny?
What would you say is the most valuable thing you've ever learned?
Don't step in bear shit.
Yeah, sure. So she goes out there and she's camping for the night, and then this pack of wolves comes by with a human with them, and
Walking on all fours.
Walking on all fours. And like this type of movie has been done a ton. Like just as I was watching it, I was thinking of like Jungle to Jungle, and of course all the George of the Jungle movies, and any of these movies like this. And this is always a Tarzan. This is always like an exciting moment in these movies of when the human that's been raised wild meets civilized humans. In this one, Howie Mandel bumps his head on a log. And that's basically it. He just bumps his head on a log, falls asleep, and they've got him. They take him back to...
Then the next morning basically happens.
Yeah.
And he's just on the floor.
Yeah, just sleeping. They haven't done anything else. We get all the flashbacks to the family via this Mr. Truman, this old prospector who apparently loved the Strand family and is just reading through old newspapers. And that's how we're given all backstories just from this inconsequential character. To just fill us in on really information we didn't need. We easily could have gotten that once they get back to the family.
You know, the only thing worse than exposition is unneeded exposition that nobody needed or wanted.
But he's not completely gone from the story, because they have him doing narration over the film randomly.
Yeah.
He's telling us the story apparently, but that doesn't really ever develop into anything. It's just
nothing.
Oh, and then this was the day that they went to the mall, and you're like, what? I forgot you existed.
80s montage mall scene. Go.
This movie's nothing but montages. Like I feel like 60% of this movie is just finding different scenarios for Howie Mandel to act like an idiot in. Like the training sequences, followed by the mall, followed by the dinner sequence. It's just like constantly, oh, how can Howie Mandel be zany?
A film that you could say, I mean, this one's not original in any way, but to compare it to anything that followed after, Encino Man looks like it should be Oscar nominated compared to this. I mean, Brendan Fraser has never looked so great as an actor.
Encino Man is what this movie should be.
It should be, but none of it's there. None of it. But that's what the mall. You know, everything about it. He's supposed to be experiencing now, but none of that's done at all. So part of the plot is the brother is trying to. He has until Howie Mandel Bobo turns 30, and then he gets his family inheritance. It's in the will. That apparently he doesn't get the inheritance at all. His dad loved this brother so much that he's gonna.
He broke it up into thirds. Okay. So he gave a third of the inheritance to his wife, Cloris Leachman. He gave a third to Christopher Lloyd as the older brother, and then he gave a third to the missing Bobo brother, unless he had not appeared by his 30th birthday. So this woman shows up with Bobo at their family, doesn't even mention to them that, oh, hey, your brother has got a lot of mental things. He probably needs to work through that.
He's a wolf.
It just literally just says, hey, your brother's alive, and shows up with this man attached to a rope.
Around his neck.
And is just leading him through the house. Didn't prepare them at all.
Welcome.
Mr. Chan, Penny Grant, Mr. Truman asked me to bring your brother by for you, but I'm the one who actually found him.
Who is this? Where's my brother?
This is Bobo. This is him. Bobo, get off there! I'm sorry, but...
Is that my Bobo? Bring the dear boy in.
Whoa! Bobo, I'm sorry. He's not used to being on a leash. As a matter of fact, he's not used to civilization. That's just the way Bobo expresses himself.
Where have you been for the last 28 years, I was beginning to get a little worried.
I think he remembers you. This is good. This is great.
Oh, what a cute little boy you are. Does Bobo want to play with Pussy? Huh?
They
For this.
immediately start talking about killing him.
Yes, yeah.
Immediately. There's no other options. Not his incompetence would be a way that we could sign over his inheritance.
Yeah,
Which
how
seems
is
like
that? Yeah.
That seems like the logical way. We just have to prove that he's incompetent. No, they have to get him to sign the will over by his 30th birthday. He has to sign it over. So the entire plot is they call the scientist in again, as we're pointed out, again, over and over and over again that she's a scientist, to train him essentially to be a human being in a normal way that you would with somebody that lived in the woods.
Yeah.
Which brings about, I mean, him learning to speak.
Oh, I wish he hadn't. I
him
really
learning to
wish.
walk.
There's a movie that I unfortunately I'm going to go on a limb and say I'm the only one that's watched, is Kiefer Sutherland in Trapped in Silence.
Oh, was that the made-for-TV movie from
It
the
is-
80s
it
where
is-
he's the abused? Yeah, I've seen
I'm
that.
not surprised you've seen
I watched
it.
that on TV. That was weird and gross and
The-
disturbing. And
he hasn't spoken in years, and there's a scene where he's under a table and he's spitting profusely. I mean, it's just that's all I remember. And I never thought I'd see a worse learning to talk scene. And it's not, the movie's so bad, you can't even, you can't break it up into clips of enjoyable things.
No.
Like, I can tell you how bad the Howie Mandel thing is. We could give you a 4K version of it with redone everything, and it's still unwatchable.
It's so bad.
Yeah. Good boy. A. 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 Here, you try. A. No, Bobo, no. Spit that out. Spit it out. Come on. A. A. Come on. A. No, Bobo. A. Yes! Come on, yes, Bobo! Hey! Yes! That's good, that's good. Come on. B. B. B.
This I kept thinking, like, where is Robin Williams when you need him? Like, he could. I mean, I don't think this movie would have been good with Robin Williams, but at least it would have been more like whatever kids movie with Robin Williams. Howie Mandel in it was so awful, beginning to end.
And he's great in what's the Monsters Under the Bed?
Oh, is that Little Monsters?
Little Monsters. He's great
yeah.
in that. He's not even on the TV show that he was on, the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Deal or No Deal.
Deal or No Deal. He's an enjoyable person. He learned a lot from this film.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to.
On what not to do.
He's
and how not to do it.
He's given what probably to him seems like, oh, it's going to be a breakout role. And
Did you guys ever watch Bobby's World?
Bobby's World was phenomenal. Yeah, I love that show.
I did too.
It was, I always, for some reason, find myself thinking about it whenever I would watch like Baby's Kids. If you remember that, I used to love Bobby's World. You used to eat a lot of different off-brand shitty news cereals while watching that.
Are you familiar with it? I'm not familiar
I'm
with
not
Bobby's
familiar.
World.
It was a cartoon where it's Howie Mandel. I think he may have wrote it, but he's certainly the narrator to it.
That was a character he did in stand-up.
Okay.
And then it turned into a cartoon.
So you were talking about how the movie doesn't like how it seems all out of order. This first part of when he gets back was like the first big indication of that to me, because they bring him back to the family. Like we said, they don't introduce the idea to the family ahead of time that thinks he's a wolf, and immediately, like you were saying, Jay, they go into, we should kill him so that way he doesn't get the inheritance. And so they end up leaving him out. Christopher Lloyd leaves him out in the woods overnight like you do a normal dog.
But he thinks he's a wolf, and he's been living in the wilderness all these years.
Yeah, just run away. Just run away.
It's throwing him into the briar patch.
When like the answer the whole time is obviously he's not mentally fit to have a $30 million inheritance. Like, it seems like even if Christopher Lloyd's character wasn't a total douche, giving that guy power of attorney, somebody else in the family power of attorney, would happen as just a matter of course. It does not seem that bad. But rather than starting with, oh, we'll prove that he's mentally unsound, and then we'll get power of attorney, and then we'll figure out something else. Instead, they start with the murder bit and then move into the power of attorney thing. But really, those just clearly need to be switched.
Yeah.
The murder bit, there's a few, but the bathtub one is my favorite. God. Because here's how poorly done the film is all the way around. You have Howie Mandel, he's going to be drowned by Christopher Lloyd. He's going to hold him under the water and drown him, which is in itself, they show too much of that. I mean, it's supposed to be a comedy, but we have a guy actually really trying to. But as how he jumps up and Christopher Lloyd falls into the tub, and then Leachman walks in and has the cat, and she tosses it. Oh, he'd like to take a bath with you. So he throws a cat in the tub, and then...
Speaking of the cat, I'm sorry to interrupt, Jay, but what's the cat's name?
Is it just Pussy?
The cat's name is Pussy.
Everything's an attempt at a joke.
They have another chance to tell stupid, lame jokes where the old lady's carrying a cat and she says, "Doesn't Pussy look pretty today?" And that was like not funny ever, but they do it like a dozen times.
Or why didn't you kiss Pussy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Unnecessary.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
No.
I had to throw that in there.
It's if we don't interrupt through this movie, it'll just be silence, because that's how this film feels. But yeah, Christopher Lloyd, next they cut to the shot of the cat jumping out. Oh my God, he's doing his stage acting bit, and which is Christopher Lloyd's career, and they cut to him under a blanket and he's got pneumonia. It's just,
Your tea, Reggie.
It's like, that's a regular bath. Why would you suddenly, by getting wet, have pneumonia? It's like they don't even, there's no attempt at fleshing out the logic of a joke. It's like hearing somebody talk about their stand-up bit that isn't funny, like a comedian that's just not funny, and
it's all just people do goofy things.
Yes,
like that's the setup and punchline to every single joke is guy who can't walk. Let's see him walk. Oh, he looks funny walking. Guy who doesn't understand stairs. Let's see him take stairs. Oh, it's funny. Man in a suit falls into tub. Man in suit falls into custard. Man in suit. It's just that. That's every single joke is just, and like Howie Mandel's not really set out for that as an actor. I don't even know if it matters because the movie's so dumb. I don't know. Again, if they got Robin Williams for it, I don't even know how much of an improvement you could possibly make on this movie.
The casting's off. It's not everybody that's in the film has worked in something. I mean, that's down to the butler. Oh man, what's the butler's name? Producer guy. I could pull it up, but
I've got the movie up.
He's a notorious guy who's in Halloween 4. He's familiar for being in a bunch of small little roles, but he's a lot of fun. But in this film, it's atrocious. They've all done a lot of films.
Christopher Lloyd, I feel, has played this role like a few times and played it well a few times. Not in this one.
And I'm actually there's something about Christopher Lloyd that's very enjoyable.
Oh yeah, without doubt.
Anybody that grew up in the Back to the Future era automatically has a soft spot for him, and that's probably the best he ever did. There's a couple films that pop in and out. We've got, like I mentioned, Premonition, which Justin I don't think seen.
I have not seen.
It's been years. It's kind of a noir where you can see time and what it's just really bad. But in that film, he carries it just fine. I joke around about like, oh, well, it's not the worst film, because that one is equally as bad as this one. But it's, I mean, how much can Christopher Lloyd carry a comedy without anybody else having lines around them?
Yeah.
And
only so much. I mean, yeah. 2 jokes and 4 giggles. That's how I'll say how much he can carry it.
I mean, some actors are better. Well, I mean, that's that Sleepaway Camp, or not Sleepaway Camp. What did we say the camp movie was?
Camp Nowhere.
I'm really good for this. You know,
Yeah.
Let's get me talking about films more. Hey, what's the name? Wait, what's that name?
Eric could just sit on that side and whisper him into your ear.
The homeless guy said the weather was too nice outside to come in and take the 3rd chair. So here I am, winging it. Hey, you've watched the movie before. Yeah.
I love Walk Like a Man.
Yes. Well, you've seen it. That's really what it came down to.
The butler was Carmen Philby, but I don't know if people will know him by his name, but he's very recognizable.
The second you see him, he's got kind of a weird delivery. I immediately thought he was the guy from Friday the 13th. That's, oh, you're all will be doomed. He's kind of has that face, you know, but kind of similar acting arc. But who that is another name that I'm not going to try digging out of my pocket, but phenomenal amount of work. But yeah, anyways, the casting isn't the problem. But it ends up feeling like what, Frozen Assets? That's the other one that.
Yeah, I mean, man.
Like Howie Mandel is probably at best doing a Corbin Burnson in this film, I would say.
I thought like at least this movie didn't have Corbin Burnson. I legitimately thought that. Though I mean I don't know how much worse he could have made it. Probably a lot worse.
He would have tried.
Oh,
yeah.
He would have tried.
If he would have been the Howie Mandel role, oh, glorious. That might have been glorious carnage though.
Maybe we should take the time to look through all 4,000 Corbin Burnson films and see what he did that's on par with this.
Well, I feel that's kind of why we're doing this.
You know,
You get through all the Corbin Burnson movies. Start at the dentist.
When Eric picked Walk Like a Man instead of Frozen Assets, it's like, at least that, you know, they're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, no, definitely. The movie that's supposed to have a joke every minute or so and lands none of them. One out of 20 or so.
And it tries the same jokes over and over and over in this movie. Like this movie, the thing Jay talked about with him sitting huddled in the blanket, that happens like 4 times.
The 3rd time did actually make me laugh. When he's shivering again and she brings up the tea and he's like, I don't want the goddamn tea. That actually I thought was pretty funny. I was like, okay, that's good. That was one of my giggles.
Yeah, but the time before he does, I don't want to hear any more death things.
Yeah.
I don't want to, it's the same,
yeah.
The punchline goes the same direction. Like, I don't want to hear any more ways of killing them. You're going to kill me.
Yeah.
God. So what were your laughs?
My laughs?
Yeah.
Okay, I can go straight through them. I laid them out. Okay, so the times I laughed, I did actually note them down. So the first one is when they're all standing in the mirror and Christopher Lloyd's explaining that Bobby's name is Bobo and that's just like a family nickname. And they go, well, what was your family nickname? And he's like, well, I didn't have one to speak of.
Unless you count shithead.
That I thought was pretty funny. Christopher Lloyd's delivery I thought was good. I laughed at Cloris Leachman when they first bring Bobo to the house and he's jumping all over the furniture and Christopher Lloyd gets a newspaper and he's like, bad Bobo. And Cloris Leachman grabs it from him. She's like, you can read to him later.
Stop it! Stop it! Please! Just stop it! Lie down! Behaviors! Lie down!
Reggie, you can read to him later, after he's all settled in his room. Come on, Bobo. Come on.
That was a chuckle. That one gave me a chuckle. When Christopher Lloyd and his wife are in their bedroom and she's like, you can ask money from my father. And he's like, no, I'd never do that. I'd never do that. And she's like, oh, but he wouldn't. He's like, no. Also, I've asked him 1,000,000 times. He won't say yes this time. That I thought was like a chuckle. That gave me a chuckle. And then when they bring him to the club, they bring Bobo to the country club for whatever reason. Again, not telling anybody that he's a wolf, and Bobo starts climbing on top of the chairs and around all the gamers. They're playing like bridge or whatever. Christopher Lloyd trying to keep like a normal conversation going as this guy's sitting on top of their heads and all that. He's like, "Oh, how's the wife, James? Oh man, can't do that." That I actually thought was pretty good.
Yeah, it's Texas, Fred.
I'll take 2. What do you say, Al?
Reggie. Ask your brother to sit down.
Bobo, sit.
Look at this. I tell you, the kid's a scream.
Reggie!
Always acting up. Come on, boy. Attaboy.
Well, maybe he better sit this one out. He's been a little tired. Go lie down, Bobo. That's it. Lie down.
We're stuck for the money, right?
Jack, help me.
Well, actually, Reggie, there is a solution, and a rather simple one, too. All you have to do is get Bobo here to sign over his power of attorney. Now, I can draw up the papers for you, but all you have to do is get your little baby brother Bobo here to sign his name. I mean, he can write his name, can't he?
Write it. He can't even say it.
Well, he damn well better learn, and you damn well better teach him.
Don't worry, no problem, I swear.
The slapping the TOA thing was a giggle. I have no more laughs. They're all just giggles. Oh, and then at the very end, when they're doing the dinner scene, and Christopher Lloyd is seating his mom, and she just turns around and starts slapping his hand off the table, off the chair. It's like, get away, get away. That was giggle worthy. There you go. There's my 2 laughs and my 4 giggles. So there you go. You got that to look forward to when you watch the movie.
As you will.
So they decide to train him. They decide to make him walk and talk. They show him this game called like What's Wrong. They're holding up a picture and like, what's wrong with this picture? Yeah. It has like a fire hydrant and a tree. This cannot be like an acceptable form of teaching somebody at this point in their life what it is to live in like a civilized society. Like that was so dumb. Of the whole training sequence, that one was the dumbest possible thing.
Can you explain it a little bit more?
Sure. So they're holding up pictures and the pictures will be, it's like those like kids storybook games. I remember we had those in like coloring books where it'd be like, it'd show a picture and say, what's wrong with this picture? And it'd have a giant, in this case, a giant fire hydrant will be on top of a tree. And you have to say, oh, the fire hydrant doesn't belong on the tree. And the mom, who is also as much an animal as Howie Mandel, it seems like, she can't pick it out. Howie Mandel can't pick it out. And it seems like they're just having fun, but Penny is getting like really taking it seriously. She's like, oh no, a tree. We see trees everywhere. A light. Oh, come on. No, we have got that everywhere. It's just like, this is not a good test. This is terrible. What are we teaching to him here?
And speaking of which, like, the kid spoke English and was apparently clever when he got knocked off the sled in the very beginning. And Eric and I were talking about this earlier. Like, it's one thing to be rusty after 20 years of not speaking, but you wouldn't have to relearn the English language or like what stairs were, would you?
I mean, I don't know. That I don't know.
There was a I can't think of what type of psychology test it was, but in the 70s there was a therapist that believed that you could teach a monkey to be like a human being, so he brought a monkey into the house to live alongside humans, and thought that being friends with his son, who was at that time 7 or 8 years old, would make the monkey actually learn to walk and
what a
eat
dumbass.
and do whatever. And what ended up happening was the kid stopped using his language and started walking around on all fours, mimicking the monkey.
He became like the monkey.
I agree that it should be like riding a bike, but it seems like, as far as science goes, he ended up getting rid of the monkey before it could go any farther, which was a big hit on his ego at the time. Maybe not. I mean, it's fucking, he's trying something out. But regardless, we don't have a long residual retention as far as that goes. Like if you're uprooted at 2 years old, you probably would end up picking up the wolves thing, I guess. I mean, that's my theory.
Yeah. So then they go to the mall. The worst sequence of the whole movie.
Although I have to ask you guys a question. It occurs to me that Teddy Ruxpin, the talking teddy bear, might have delivered the most believable and enjoyable performance of any actor in this movie. What do you think?
I mean, I'm a fan of Teddy Ruxpin.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I'll agree with that.
Bon Jovi's Slippery When Wet through it, and have his little mouth going along. It was awesome.
That sounds pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. And when the batteries die down, it sounds like it's like a doom metal.
Like Creed.
Yeah. Oh, no. Let's not.
That's not who it sounds like when the batteries are dying.
Only Creed sounds like Creed. You just don't get them because you're not a Christian. You don't get it because you're not Christian.
I guess so.
You know, Creed's good, man.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It doesn't sound like a dying bear.
Creed to just like this film. Let's just stick on topic. If you don't think of 30 or 40,000 other movies, this is a good movie.
Okay.
You know,
Okay. Yeah, I'll go with that.
If you are part of a science experiment where you have lived with an ape for many, many years, this may be the movie for you.
No, I didn't know about the fire hydrant. I didn't know a light doesn't go in a tree. You know,
the fish weren't that big.
Yeah, what a dud.
So,
what a dud.
Okay, so they're in the mall, and he initiates a series of shoplifting scandals.
Well, yeah, I mean, he takes the bear, the Teddy Ruxpin bear, which he then gives back.
Or no, he gives it to the woman with the child.
Yeah,
and then
touching when he did that.
Sure.
And then security's gonna
they call the shoplifter.
They're gonna call security. So then the wolf lady pays for the teddy bear.
Yeah,
and I think those were kind of expensive back in the day.
But let's not forget the changing room scene.
Oh,
where
I was trying to.
He gets trapped in a changing room with a man because he doesn't know about personal space, I guess, as a wolf. So he goes into the same changing room with the guy, and he's trying to put on his pants and shirt while the other guy's trying to put on his pants and shirt. And the guy tells him, "Are you a homo?" And he goes, "No, I'm a bobo."
Are you a homo? Well, I'm a bobo.
It's the
great laugh. This is a really funny one. 80s or no, that's a pretty, I mean, even for like a questionable morally joke, that one's still pretty fucking terrible.
Yes.
It's not even funny. It misses even out on that.
They'd set the bar with calling the cat pussy low, and they seem to just dug under it. But the dressing room scene, the audio's all off, and
that's clearly like overdubbed at some point. You get to watch him take the elevator up and down because that's funny.
I woke up and I thought that my feed was wrong on the video. The audio's off, and then I went back into. I mean, I didn't sleep, but I kind of. And I was like, oh, somebody in this town has to be able to get a hold of some cocaine.
You would think so.
I was like, but I'm not spending the going rate on cocaine to get through. Walk like a man.
So I just allocate your resources.
I need a neck
more
brace
wisely.
now because this is the entire film. One thing I guess should be notable is that even though we've seen this film before, all of us make it a point to watch it before. We do, when the text came out, it was like we were gonna do a Steven Seagal film, and then it took a hard left. Guys, it changed my mind. We're gonna do this, but even though Eric's not on camera, he is the backbone of what's going on. So he made his girlfriend on dinner date night. They live together, so I don't know how that goes, but made his poor girlfriend sit through this film, which the only thing that I bring that up about is my girlfriend Madison. She's sat through
too many.
She usually makes it through the first movie and then dodges off, which is better than I deserve by far, and better than these films we deserve. But today it was like, oh, let's spend time together, and I was like, well, I gotta walk like a man for this. And she was like, you're really gonna take the time? No, I don't want to sit through a Carnage movie with you guys without it. It was just like the fact you made Kat do it is like,
oh, that's awesome.
So if there's any debate, your love is less.
I owe her something.
So Zoe was the first person to show this film. How many have you seen it more than these two times?
Yeah, I've seen it at least one more time, maybe twice. Yeah, don't ask me why, but I have.
So you and I saw it at the same time for the first time?
I've only watched it at Carnage once.
Yeah,
so that's.
Me too.
Had you seen this one before?
No, I'd never seen it.
Okay, so it was fresh for you.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not fresh, but new,
new,
different.
Oh, you hadn't seen that before this week?
Nope.
Oh yeah. Well, that's you.
This is a good one.
You hate frozen assets, so that's why this one never comes up. But it did take off the table. I was thinking for next week. I was wondering where if we're doing Steven Skull, it's going to be Luggage of the Gods. And that one is Zoe knows. If you think this movie's boring and bad and the timeline's off, brace up because that one's coming. Luggage of the Gods.
There's one good thing about Luggage of the Gods, if I remember correctly, is it's only like 50 minutes long.
Dude, but it feels like 4 hours. It really. But anyway, so we'll talk about that one another day. Don't worry, guys. It's...
So the courtroom scene. So we've been talking about how all these elements are out of order.
Yeah.
To me, the courtroom scene has the most obvious. There was some late game editing going on where a lot was taken out. So a little bit before this, they decide that the way that they're going to have Bobo declared insane is to invite Christopher Lloyd's wife's father, who's a famous psychiatrist, over for a fancy dinner. And they'll have Bobo sit next to him. They'll get Bobo drunk, and he'll have no choice but to say that Bobo is insane. Bobo ends up getting drunk. He ends up doing lots of Bobo things. It's a mess in all the dumbest ways. And the doctor at the end says, "Oh, don't worry. I'll definitely say he's insane." So we cut to the courtroom. Bobo is still in his tux, first off. So I guess they've just thrown this together for the next day. Like, he's missing the tie, but he's still got the jacket and the shirt on.
Probably just had the dad actor for like...
Yeah, they just had him for like
a
few hours. Like, just get over there. We can't even go to costume. And just get into that set. Get into the courtroom set. And then they're about to declare him insane when Penny storms into the courtroom to make her statement. And the judge goes, "Now, I've told you several times to stay out of my court. This has never happened before. This is the only time this has happened." She says that Bobo feels that his brother is taking advantage of him, and he feels that I've abandoned him. Two things we also have seen nothing about. The only thing we've got from that is that when she was leaving after the dinner party, because Christopher Lloyd fired her, she gives Christopher Lloyd that note and is like, "This is just an explanation of why I've been away." But again, this is happening the next day.
Yes.
He's still in the tux. Like, clearly there's more courtroom stuff that was going to be put in that was taken out for excess footage at the mall or whatever. And then we get the worst, the one of the worst movie judges I've ever seen. After finding out Bobo's whole history, seeing that he can barely speak, Bobo just asks her, "Is it bad to chase a fire engine?" And she goes, "You know what? No, there's nothing that bad about that. Yeah, you probably should have access to 30 million. And then he says, "I want to give it to my family." And Christopher Lloyd goes, "He's the best. He wants to give it to his family." He's like, "No, my family of wolves." He wants to give $30 million to a pack of wolves. And this woman's like, "No, if anybody's insane, it's you, Christopher Lloyd. So no more. Sorry, Bobo is getting 30 mil.
So essentially, this movie is one episode of Gary Busey, Pet Judge.
Pet Judge. Yes, I would trust Gary Busey more as Pet Judge
He
than I
still
would
would have
this
came
woman.
with the same verdict.
He would have.
It's the same spin on it, the same exact spin.
Each year across the country, there are thousands of pet disputes. Those who want their cases tried by the best know there's only one man they can turn to, and he is thirsty for pet justice.
Dude,
you're
right.
you're the problem. This is normal. But we need it. I mean, who doesn't want $30 million to go towards a wolf sanctuary?
I mean, I guess so. The mom's giving it to cats. So
yeah.
who is crazy here?
But why do the wolves need sanctuary?
Well,
don't they live out in the wild?
Oh, Zoe.
No,
You're so behind.
He's getting them all Texas and language classes.
Yeah, he wants them all to be like him. And yeah,
white wolves at that.
I guess the love story is one other thing we should talk
You-
about.
see,
The love story is so
you knew
dumb.
the
The love
second-
story is so dumb.
The second she finds him, she's
Oh,
like
it was-
uncovering everything. And this is the beginning. She finds him, bumps his head. You're like, I don't want this love arc because nothing's going to be invested into it at all. I mean, it should be you learn to love this person as they are, right? I mean, but that's not.
Well, she keeps saying like, "You're such a free spirit, and you have taught me so much more than I have taught
what did
you."
he-
Exactly. He's not far enough in his. He's still more like childlike than adult man like, and yet she
That's
kind
right.
of forces a
Right.
kiss on him.
Just like the forcing alcohol on him.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and she kisses him, and then she's like, "No." And then it turns out it's been in her notes forever. At the courtroom, he's like, "In your notes, it says that you can't study him as well because you're in love with him. Are you still in love with him?" Yes. It was so dumb. It's just like at a certain point, the movie just gives up on like the half-assed way it's been doing things, and then
Which
it's like
is about the credits
well,
rolling at the beginning.
other movies are just that needs to happen in a movie.
We already got their money. They're already in the
Yeah,
theater.
this is fine. So
all roads
dumb.
lead back to Roger Corman, man. It's like that. It's like a canon film or something, but without any of the enjoyable things that go into those.
Yeah,
it's a cash grab without a doubt. I mean, the film's like, we'll put it on a shelf, people will rent it, we'll get it out. But it's only a cash grab because Howie Mandel probably made $4,000. Christopher Lloyd probably was the big name on it, and
I would hope so. I would like a world where Howie Mandel makes more for Walk Like a Man than Christopher Lloyd.
Was this before Back to the Future?
This was 87.
I think Back to the Future was 86, maybe?
I think that's right.
I wouldn't be surprised if this one had been shelved and re-released.
Oh, my
85.
bad. 85.
So this was post Back to the Future.
Yeah, which sums up all of Christopher Lloyd's career. you come across these movies that you expect are going to be leading up to it. You're like, oh, he really stuck it out. I mean, he puts in work. It's a job, and he never phones in a performance.
No, I mean I think he's probably as good as anyone could be in this role in this movie.
I think he's meant to be like a B-level stage actor, and that's what makes his characters come off fine in some films, and other ones he can't carry this one. And he's not playing the zany guy, and that's another. It's like he really has given nothing other than you have to be an asshole with this terrible script.
Which he's done well before, like in the Addams Family. Like I felt like Reggie was a lot like Uncle Fester before he's Uncle Fester, when he's like the con artist guy. Like that part, I was like, this is just a lot like that. This character is very similar. But yeah, what an atrocious movie.
So, okay, the judge awards him the money, and then there's a final scene where they have built the wolf sanctuary or something like that. I can't quite remember
The
because my
timeline is wonderful.
brain was mush at that point.
Yeah.
Can any
Maya,
of us remember?
Maya, I
Well,
think
if
my
we're being
cop-
honest, Justin showed up. I started the movie at 4:00. He came over at about 7, and I still had the last 11 minutes left. So I'm gonna have to say, even though I've seen the film before, you're gonna have to paint the picture for how this film actually ends, because the courtroom scene was as far as I could go. Like, once it got to that, I was like, all right, I remember all this. It's and
Oh man, I wish I could remember better. Because okay, there's. Do you remember?
I watched it last night, and I don't remember.
I
That's what
feel
I'm
like
saying.
they just getting in the car after the courtroom and driving away. I thought that was the end. Am I wrong?
Was it a thing where they showed the wolf sanctuary and Howie Mandel is married to the thing and they have a little baby dressed like a wolf or something?
I don't remember any of that. I really like.
Or did my brain just take me to a
I
crazy
mean, I don't know.
hallucination
My
place
my
at
copy
the
was
end
off
of this
YouTube,
movie?
so
You
like
know
maybe
what?
stuff is cut out.
I'm not gonna say that I distinctly remember that, but that might be like a post credits middle of the credits thing. That's on the tape. Dude, anybody could have
Bobo eats them. Bobo eats them all. That's the ending, and it's pretty damn good.
So
And he giggles maniacally the entire
Yeah.
time.
I guess if we're just throwing in stuff that's worth noting about anybody that film, I guess it's Howie Mandel, and this is constantly touching everybody.
Yeah, he's a
And
germaphobe,
he's
right?
a germaphobe in real life. If you were on Deal or No Deal, it was in your contract that you wouldn't shake his hand or anything like that. Which, I mean, that doesn't, just because you're germaphobe, especially now we understand it a lot more. I mean, but it doesn't make you inherently an asshole.
Was he always a germaphobe, or is that the kind of thing that can happen like when you're middle-aged or something?
I thought that I heard him mention about Little Monsters, that he had that problem there.
Okay.
So that it got to a point where he was able to ask it as part of his thing. But it's just very strange. I mean, he goes, nobody has high expectations or disappointments with Howie Mandel. He's Howie Mandel.
Yeah.
He's it's not like he dropped the ball on his career in this film. And certainly it's like, Kim Cattrall and where the RoboCop ripoff running, whatever it is. Anyways, these actors, they get to do multifaceted roles and go through and do a lot of stuff. Like, I'm sure it made sense on it, but in hindsight, if you're such a germaphobe, I can't imagine just putting yourself out on a limb like he did in this one.
Yeah.
He was like,
He was licking Christopher Lloyd's face at one point.
And chewing on a shoe.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, when you put it that way, I guess it's a great performance.
I mean,
Oscar worthy.
Monsters was 89, so that was 2 years after this.
nah. Herzog also ate a shoe once, so kind of they're in the same company. Howie Mandel has now been mentioned alongside Werner
Herzog. Oh, my heart breaks.
I hope so. 7 Degrees of Herzog. Now that he did Disney, we can really tie him in with just about anything.
So one thing I thought was hilarious, I hadn't seen this before. So they cut his hair. He's got this giant mountain man beard, this giant head of hair, and they cut his hair. And in one of the few times I can ever remember this happening in movies, because it's a pretty standard thing, his hair post-cut looks so much worse than his hair when he's just all wild and free. That hair is a crime.
That's my nightmare every night. Why do I not get a haircut? I don't want to look like Howie Mandel.
I get it. After seeing this, I get it. Yeah. Ugh.
So this is our third film. We've done Circuitry Man 2.
Plughead Rewired.
Yeah, Plughead Rewired. I was like, that's not the second movie we did. We did Invisible Child.
Ugh.
I cannot believe we followed Invisible Child with this. Like, there's got to be...
one.
It's fine. It's fine. We didn't think that.
You don't know apologies to these guys for anything, for picking a bad movie. Like,
that's kind of no. That's not a free pass. He picked this movie.
I mean, it's a bad movie.
But do we agree? So we've had the best movie we reviewed so far is Circuitry 2.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I would agree.
And what is this worse than Invisible Child?
I would say definitely.
I'm with Zoe. I'm with Zoe completely. I actually had fun with Invisible Child, like on how bad it is.
Talking about it was fun.
Talking about it was great.
Talking about that, I enjoyed this conversation with you guys, but we're working with nothing. This is us hanging out.
Yeah, no, pretty much. Yeah. This is the worst one. This is our review for it. Thumbs down. Don't watch.
Well, if we're doing reviews, I'm going to quote Justin. No more laughs. No more laughs. That's should be like 80s films should have died with this one. There's a million movies that should have ended it. This one could have been one of them. But whether we actually do it with this, I'm going to hold you guys to keeping a tiered order. We're going to have a ranking of all the films that we review.
I like that.
And we're going to figure out what is legitimately the best one and what's the worst, and kind of try to find a way through the middle of it. It's an argument. Because I figured out what I'm going to do for next week. So that would be the best that I've ever seen because I love it, and you guys will put it near the very bottom because you hate it. I was thinking while we were talking about what I'm going to pick, and
well, it can't be worse than this.
No,
I don't believe it can, unless it's Frozen Assets.
No. Yeah, we'll get around to that one. That one's.
Yeah, I hope not.
Okay, so Jay, recommend or not recommend?
No more laughs. No more laughs.
Yeah.
And since Ebert hates the two thumbs thing, let's stick with it. I'm sorry. What? Oh.
Justin, would you care to share with us your favorite line of Bobo dialogue delivered in Bobo voice?
Oh, I think I already did. No, it's just like. That would be that. Oh man, I can't even think of it. The homo bobo thing. No, I'm a bobo.
My favorite line was, How do you do the Bobo voice?
I don't know.
That's almost like a Forrest Gump, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of.
I need to make pee-pee.
Oh, yes. I thought that line would stick with me forever. I need to make a pee-pee, yes.
Yeah. How about you, Jay? You got?
Oh, mine is just when he's saying the A. So it's... no, you can do it. You can do it. It's today. She's like doing. Hey, yeah.
Yeah, that was a winner.
That's at the 30-minute mark. Just so we're clear on where this film rolls out from.
Yeah.
So Zoe, are you gonna recommend people watch this on YouTube?
Absolutely.
You would.
But only if you're sick and twisted like me.
No,
I mean, it's free. We're in quarantine. What the hell else are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Oh, I already said no.
You said no. Jay, no.
Oh man, I wouldn't make this. I wouldn't put this on somebody's shitty stepdad, man. No way, man.
That's good.
Nope.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, I'm already starting to feel a little bit guilty for having recommended it, but not guilty enough to rescind the recommendation. If you're sick and twisted and you like to explore pain, then Walk Like a Man is for you.
There you go.
Hey, Bobo! What are you doing, Bobo? Bobo, this is very dangerous.
Thank you.